Welcome everyone to the very first episode of Black Sisters Birth Academy's Inside Birth podcast. And I'm your host, Midwife Christina Jemine. The purpose of this podcast is to provide an intentional platform and community for the aspiring Black midwife who is looking to navigate her path to becoming a community midwife. Our interviews are aimed to provide practical tools and knowledge for aspiring Black midwives who want an inside look on the ins and outs of the experiences we have. Okay, so there is a big difference, and that is why we are highlighting it at this podcast. We also want to spotlight and promote community midwives that are making massive impacts in their communities, as well as foster ideas on how you too can become women of impact in birth work in the process. Okay, so today's episode is quite unique. We will be flipping the script on me. And today I have a very special guest host, a friend of mine, AKA I call her Boss Lady, AKA the Lisa to my Linda, conducting today's interview. And we have with us, who I'm speaking of is none other than Miss Kiwasi Apeh. All right. So with that, please everyone put your hands together and give her a warm welcome here to Inside Birth Podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, greetings, everyone.
Yes, go ahead, Jay. I've actually called her Jay. So if you hear me calling her throughout this throughout this interview, Jay, that's what I'm privileged to call her. So with that said, Jay, please share with our audience. Tell us a little bit about the massive ways that you're doing in this world to gift us with the presence of the work that you do. And I tell people real talk that if this woman is in your life, you are a winner. So with that said, Ms. Kiwasi, please share with us a little bit about who you are and the work you're doing in our community.
Yes. Thank you. I'm truly honored. And greetings once again. My name is Kiwasi Apeh, but I go by Kiwasi. So if you see me in these streets, please call me Kiwasi. So I am a public health advocate and community organizer, contributing about 14 years as a public servant in leadership roles in assessing, creating, educating, organizing, and mobilizing system changes in population health. I specialize in the provision of professional development services across all disciplines, while I primarily offer support to in the professional areas of healthcare, birth work, and health and human services. I am also the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Black Birthworkers Rock, LLC. It's a national and international community-based movement for Black birth workers. So please check us out on all social media platforms as Black Birthworkers Rock. I look forward to connecting with you guys.
Yes. So with that said, Jay, go ahead. Let's jump right in and, take over. You're my special guest. Do your thing. You're the host.
Sure. So my first question is, what called you into midwifery?
Okay, that's an excellent question, especially since I wrote it. But so with that said, before I do answer, I'm going to give everyone a brief introduction to who I am. And so for those that don't know me, hi, my name is Christina Jemine. I'm a licensed certified professional midwife at Black Sisters Midwifery Services. And a disclaimer, I am not currently actively taking births. And because I'm on these internet streets, I have to make that known because I know how that goes. I'm also a mother to a beautiful daughter. I'm a children's book author, and I'm also the CEO and founder of Black Sisters Birth Academy. And there I train aspiring Black midwives and aspiring Black birth assistants to become certified birth assistants, which is also known as a certified midwife assistant to community midwives. And I do so through an online curriculum-based program that's intentionally designed for us in mind. So with that said, answering the question that you asked me, what called me to midwifery, is that a very good friend of mine at the age of 16, she passed to me a book on healthcare professions. It was a general book. And so I laughed at her to this day because I knew that God had to give her that book because I'm not an avid reader whatsoever. And she was cleaning her room and she was about to toss it in the trash. And she was like, hey, you want this book? And I was just like, okay, I'll take it. She told me her mom got it from a student career fair. And so I hope her mom's not listening if she ever does, because I don't think she really wanted to throw away your stuff, but she just was, that was not the path. At least she was an intentional child to know that that was not the path God called her for anything medical. So she passed me the book. I took it and I knew it had to be God because I'm not a person that really, like I tell people, if the book don't got pictures, it's not a book to me. Okay. So I was like, I don't want this, but it was my junior year of high school. I knew that next year was senior year. And then, in America, I know where else you got to, get your life together, so they say. And so one day I happened to open the book and I was skimming through it. Like I said, I don't really like to read a whole bunch of words. So I'm just skimming. And then my eyes literally land on certified nurse midwife. And I was like, what is this? And as I was reading it, this particular book talks about the different attributes and characteristics of what it takes for each profession. And I was like, OMG, this is me. I never saw myself written, verbatim on a piece of paper. And so that very moment, my eyes were locked on the midwifery. I'm like, I'm a midwife. So I just pursued whatever the book stated to do. And in that book, the pathway was only certified nurse midwife, because that was the only thing that was articulated or talked about in that book. And that is where my journey began when it came to midwifery.
Awesome. So tell me, what route did you take to become a midwife and why did you choose that route? If you could change one thing about that route, what would it be?
Okay, so like I said, because of that book, I pursued the certified nurse midwife route. So, but the route that I ended up taking into midwifery was the certified professional midwife route. And with the certified professional midwife route, I did not need to have a degree to or to be a midwife. And so the thing is, so my story is a little bit long, but I'll give you the shortened version. So, like I said, because I read that book at 16, I'm super green. I needed, the book said, go get your bachelor's in nursing. So I was going to apply to like different schools, and my parents, being raised, I was raised Seventh-day Adventist, and also my family is Caribbean. My dad's Panamanian, my mom's Jamaican, so they're very like, stay in your roots kind of people. And they were like, why don't you go to the school? It was an Adventist all Black school called Oakwood College. And I was just like, I don't want to go there. It didn't have a bachelor's program. It only had an associate. So I was super happy, like, see, I can't go. Ha ha. So my senior year, out of nowhere, it must have been God. I think God be setting me up. So my senior year, they had a brand new bachelor's program to that school. And they were like, oh, we have a brand new bachelor's program. We have a 100% passing rate for their accreditation or their NCLEX or whatever. And I'm like, oh God. So my parents got wind of it for somehow way. And I was like, all right, fine. I'll apply to that school and I'll go. So I got to that school and, it was like 40 students. I mean, because, all the raves. So it was like 40 students our freshman year. By the end of our senior year, it was like 14, and by 14, only 5 of us got our degrees that year. And it was a lot of turmoil I went through with that whole experience in nursing school. So I'm not saying nursing school is bad. I'm just saying, just be mindful. I think the biggest thing is what I've learned through that experience is that trust should be earned. And so I know a lot of times that in this walk of life, that because somebody might be even, African American or Black or Caribbean, or you may think an institution or a religious institution should have your back, but that's not necessarily so. So I think a lot of times we should do our due diligence and don't really go into things blindly and just automatically give the people or institution our trust, but it should be earned. So it really taught me about, knowing that trust should be earned and not just by default, just by, certain demographics. So when I got into nursing school, we had an exit examination. It was tied to one of our critical care courses in nursing. So if you didn't pass your exit, automatically you'll get an F in that class. And so at the time when we had to take our exit examination, I did not get the passing score they needed. It was a 900 or something called HESI. I got an 856. And so pretty much my world was devastated. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? I spent all these years in nursing school and I'm automatically going to give me an F to drop me out of this program. So I called myself making a deal with the school or with the head of academic affairs. He came to me, they, spoke to me on the phone, and he was like, Mr. Anderson, he was like, hey, how about instead of you doing any extra classes, I'll give you a bachelor's of science in general studies and you can at least go get your master's, or you can do a bridge program for your nursing. And I was just like, you know what? enough. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take your offer. And so I did. And I went back to New York. That's my hometown. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. So I went home. And at the time, there was a bridge program where if you were already in nursing school and you had credits, you can actually sit for your PN boards. So that's exactly what I did. I sat for my PN boards. I got it. It actually got phased out the same like month I found out about it. That's why I'm saying I really believe, not really believe, I know my steps are ordered because all of these things, even though I felt like they were tumultuous, I know it was a part of my pathway. And so with that said, I was an LPN for like 3 months at a women's health clinic in Elmhurst Hospital. There was a job opening at Kings County Hospital where I did the majority of my nursing practice or profession there, and I at mother baby. And so while I was there, within a year, I had my daughter, and I took a pause. And I think it's really important for me to mention about taking a pause because even in midwifery school, you're going to need to take pauses. And it was really critical for me, or pivotal for me, to take that time to like raise my daughter and be present for her. So I said, you know, I'm putting school on the back burner or anything else on the back burner. I'm going to pay attention to my child, and I'm going to do so. So after a while, when my daughter's about 3 or 4, no, I think she's about 4, I started on the unit that I was working at Mother Baby. I noticed that certain midwives had different credentials behind their last name. So I was like, I saw CM. And so I know there was CNMs, which is a certified nurse midwife, but then I started seeing some with CM. So one of the midwives under, her name is Trinisha Williams. Big ups to her. She's still practicing, really active. And I said, hey, what's your title? What is CM? She's like, oh, that's a certified midwife. I was like, what's that? And she told me a certified midwife was a midwife that you can get a bachelor's of science in any field, and you can go take your master's in midwifery without being a nurse. So I was like, oh, that's real. That's a thing. That's awesome. I didn't even know it existed because all I knew was certified nurse midwife. So I started doing research at that time on the computer. And by that time, the computer wasn't really a big thing. Well, it was then, but when I was like 16, it wasn't. Like, it wasn't even portable to have it on the phone. So long story short, I looked it up. It was a thing. And as I was looking up, I saw that there was another route into midwifery also called a CPM, a certified professional midwife. And I was like, what's that? So as I'm doing research on the computer, I saw that, you can either do an apprenticeship way or go to a school like a MECA, they call it MECA accredited schools. And there were only like 15 or 12 at the time. I don't know. So because of my history with nursing and learning about nursing schools and accreditation, I was like, you know what? I ain't playing no games with no school that's partially accredited. I'm like, I'm just going to go to whatever these institutions are asking for. I'm going to go to this accredited school. So at the time on the map, there was only one state that I was like, you know what, I feel comfortable moving to, and it was Florida, because the other states was like, I don't know, Maine, I don't know, probably California, I don't know. It was just places I'd never been. I had no family there per se that I know of. So I went to Florida. And so I was appreciative of going that route, the certified professional midwife route, and going actually to that school. The school was called the Florida School of Traditional Midwifery in Gainesville, Florida. I got to give it much props and respect at the time. I don't know what's going on now. I'm not saying I heard anything, but I'm saying back then when I was in the program, I had awesome instructors. Big shout out to Dr. Lori Scott. She was amazing. She taught all the science classes, and Jessica Willison, I think her last name is, or just Miss Teacher Jessica. And so they were so proficient that literally it was shocking that that particular school, that one, was not a degree granting program because it was so intense, and the matriculation of the curriculum was really, really good. They were A1, I would for sure say, at the time. I don't know about now. So I don't know. No shade to nobody. So anyways, with that said, I would not change that pathway that I took in regards to becoming a certified professional midwife. I feel like becoming a certified nurse midwife, it was never the route that resonated with me anyways. When I read that book at 16, what resonated with me was the characteristics of a midwife, not the environment of the medical model. So because there was that book never talked about any different pathway, I just said, well, this is just what I got to do. And that's what I did. And I remember, and I say, very mindful of your mouth, because when I was in nursing school, I used to tell all my friends, I used to laugh because they're like, I always have that like a real straight face attitude. Like, man, I ain't here to be no nurse. I'm here to be a midwife. I don't care about no nursing. And I was like, maybe that's why I had so much obstacles in the whole field. Because really, that was the only reason why I was doing it. I was only there strictly because I wanted to be midwife. It's not because I wanted to learn about pharmacology and statistics and informatics. I didn't want to learn that stuff. I just wanted to get to the meat and potatoes. You know what I'm saying? So, long story short, I wouldn't change the CPM route that I did take with the MEC accredited school. I think it would have been great if we had more midwives, because we've been abolished pretty much, like the traditional midwives or home birth midwives. How what I've read in the past, how they used to have so many in the thousands in different states. So that because of the scarcity of preceptors wanting to, sit underneath the tutelage of somebody, it was like there's where are they? Crickets, you know what I'm saying? Especially if they were a black midwife. Just to keep it for the record. I know a lot of people want to step into the field. It's a desert out here. It's not what you think. So if you see one black midwife, you probably think there's so many around the block. Is not, okay. Not to scare nobody. I'm just letting you know it's not like how it used to be in the days of old. So I don't regret my pathway taking the CPM route or going to FSTM, which is the Florida School of Traditional Midwifery. One thing I would change is that to have more practicing midwives of color, black midwives, from all the diasporas, every Caribbean place, everywhere, just practicing and doing the skills that they've been given by God to help and assist with. So yeah.
Awesome outline. Definitely in that light of choosing which route you're gonna go with school and then ending up another, right? Just finding your divine purpose and it flowed. I'm sure it was a rough journey and still you stuck with it because as you said at 16, this is what it was, right?
Yeah.
So that's important to note. Changes can happen, just stick to the goal.
Stick.
So my next question would be, how was your experience once you became a midwife and started your practice?
Yeah, that one was very interesting because honestly, I was excited. So I was
Of
literally, I was,
course.
yeah, I was excited. I was on a high. Okay, you couldn't tell me nothing. Like I could have a theme song, like couldn't tell me nothing. I was on it. I was excited. I was setting up everything I needed to set up, from lab accounts, business numbers, fax numbers, websites. I was loving it. I'm keeping it real, all caps lock. Yeah, yeah. I want to sound a little country, like you heard me. I was serious. I was really excited. But the thing was, after I started attending a few births, I started to feel really alone. Like there was like no other Black birth worker within like an hour radius of me. So it was really desolate. And because of the desolation, that was like, to be honest, I started to feel like nervous or scared, like, what is midwifery all about? And then I started feeling like there's no community. I really felt the disenfranchised, how it is to be disenfranchised or scattered across the nations, or no sense of community, no sisterhood, no village, no hub, no nothing. So it was kind of like you just the only man out here blowing in the wind. And so I tell people that even with what I do right now at Black Sisters Birth Academy, it kind of stemmed out of me not finding any Black-owned birth assistant training program at the time when I did get certified to train my own birth assistant. And so I was looking on the line, and I see nothing. There was nothing out there with Black-led, to be honest. And so, except this one lady, God bless her whole soul, her name is Claudia Booker, and I saw that she probably did one like random, probably like one a year or one every other year, who knows. But other than that, there was nothing else. So I took it upon myself to say, you know what, I'm going to create a curriculum and do something. Well, not a curriculum. I'm going to create a package and train my own. And then a sister midwife by the name of Kimberly Homer, she got wind of it. She was like, oh, this would be great. Would you be open to inviting some other young women that want to learn how to be a birth assistant? And I was like, you know what, sure. So I made a thing of it, and I called it, Black Sisters birth assistant workshop, because I wanted it to be very intentional. Say like, where's my Black sisters at? If you're looking to be trained as a birth assistant, come on in. So, I mean, you couldn't get any clearer than Black sister, unless I threw in Jamaican sisters. But I was just like, I want, tell my Trinidadian sisters, but I was like, hey, let's have, like, say, the cookout, right? The family reunion, and just be like, if you are interested in learning this profession, I'm hosting this, workshop. And so when I host the workshop, I realized that, it was really important to host it, because I felt like it was really moving the mark for a lot of people. Like people were crying and, very emotional, and they felt really safe, like they had a safe space to learn, and they were able to get the skills that they needed to actually function in the profession. And so with that said, it was really important for me to continue to be in that space to support other Black women in training that want to be a part of birth work, so that we're not alone, because each one can teach one. And so now I feel like I'm a midwife to many versus just a midwife to one. So like when I teach one, she's able to touch multiple families, and it's like it's just spreads like that. So it's awesome in that regard.
Well, I have to say that is an amazing story as far as your experience that you walked into becoming a midwife and you found another calling, something that was needed within our Black birth community, and you rolled with it, right? So you went into becoming a midwife and then becoming an instructor for growing more Black birth assistant midwife assistants in the community. So to you something you didn't even dream of, right?
No,
And look how
no.
it just rolled into that. So
I think
I
that's the
love
story of the Black woman's life. We just
it.
go with
and,
it, you know.
and and you stuck it out because as you laid out, you becoming a midwife, you felt alone, and in this and being a Black birth worker as well in Florida, just knowing how big Florida is, and I'm sure others know other communities, how big their community is and how far in a distance things are. So really trying to find a community to service your community is so hard. And
Yeah,
so with that, many don't stick in it.
yeah.
The
And also
longevity
feeling
of
like you
them
don't even,
staying
or even
is
feeling like you don't even have a community. I mean, you
right,
really feel disenfranchised. You feel displaced. You feel like somebody would say, like the orphan, or you feel like a nomad. And imagine you may be living in this area for your whole life, which I didn't live in this area of Florida. I'm from Brooklyn, like I said, but it's just you just feel the void. You feel like the only the only unicorn up in here. You're like, what is going on? So I realized it had to change. Like I know there's more of us out here, but midwifery really opened my eyes to seeing
right.
how many systems that we have for ourselves as Black people, Black women, that they're broken up. They're intentionally broken up. They're disenfranchised and all different things. And I'm like, wow, it's multi-layered. Like this problem is not one layered, it's multi-layered. You know
Oh
what I
yes.
mean? Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
So with that, my next question would be, would you honestly recommend someone becoming a midwife?
Would I recommend? Yeah, I know, right? Let me stop laughing like I'm like, run. No, yeah. No, I would, no, real caps lock, all caps lock. Yes, I would. I would recommend it. And I did write a little note to myself because I got to keep it 100. I would recommend it for those that are truly called to do this work in your soul, like your soul is truly speaking to you, like you wrestling at night, like, nah, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. Like if your soul is speaking to you, then you better giddy up and go do what God called you to do. Now, if God didn't never call you to do it, don't do it. Like Forrest Gump with Jenny, run, Forrest, run, like run. I'm serious. Like this is not a game. Don't do this because this would be cute for a career change, or I'm just trying out the waters. Nah, you ain't trying out the waters. I was telling somebody you're better off being an Olympic gymnast than doing this. Like go get some gold medals, baby, because this is not the profession that you just want to taste the waters. You know what I'm saying? So if you're really serious about this work and you really feel like God has called you to do this work, for sure, like this, then do it like any other calling. Like go if
And
you
that's
got.
the saying is birth work is soul work. Like this
Mm-hmm.
is not, and people who are in birth work are working in their purpose. This is not a fad. Being a midwife or being a doula or childbirth educator, you are in people's lives,
Mm-hmm.
especially Black lives, right?
Yeah.
Any person of color lives,
Mm-hmm.
that they are relying on you. This baby that you helping bring to fruition to earth is relying on you. So this is definitely not a game and a show off. This is a true profession, a true soul work to be a part of. So once you answer that call, no one's saying it's going to be easy, but
No.
it will work out for you as, you know,
Yeah.
our lovely midwife is saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if it's for you,
It will work out, and
yeah.
other opportunities will birth out of it. So it's just keep on going, right? Just
Yeah,
keep on going.
absolutely. Be who you're called to be. A friend told me, like, his
Yes.
name is Jane. He's like, be like, I'm not, and I think that's the beautiful thing about who I am as a human being. Even though sometimes I might walk through my life a little scared or nervous, I'm still going to do what I'm called to do, because that's what I'm called to do. And it's not about my life being defined by how people think it should be structured or how it should be done. And so for me, even being a midwife, I'm like, there's many facets to midwifery. Like a midwife in essence is with women. So I'm midwifing in a lot of arenas. Right now, you're midwifing me. You're with me. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
as I birth this first episode of Inside Birth Podcast, so that other Black aspiring midwives can find a voice or hear, or I be able to identify with something that they are not currently hearing. There's not other platforms that are amplifying the Black experience in regards to community midwifery in the Black, in the US, at least for right now. And so I think it's very important, because the 16-year-old me didn't have that opportunity. The 16-year-old me didn't know there was different pathways into midwifery. The 16-year-old me only knew there was a certified nurse midwife, even though I didn't want to be a nurse and had to go pay, get student loans to go do nursing school. So but I'm grateful for it, because it has helped me to be who I am, and I'm able to see two different worlds. Like I've seen the medical model, I've seen what that looks like in accreditation
Yes.
boards, Department of Health, and laws and all that jazz. And I'm like, what is that? And then I see what's going on the outside, and how that has also stemmed into that world and tore it apart to fit their agenda. And so it helped me to have a different lens, because I was able to see those things, so that I could understand how to function in both worlds. And so I'm grateful for my journey. Like I said, it was rough. I ain't gonna lie. It was rough. It really was.
And,
Really.
and now you're here
Yeah.
implementing this podcast to help others, right?
Yeah.
Who may not know, who know which route, or
Mm-hmm.
just hearing these experiences is definitely going to influence many in making the decisions that they are making, and just to keep on
Yeah.
going, right? So
Yeah.
I'm honored to be, interviewing you, and I'm honored to even hear that all the works that you are doing, and our friendship throughout these years, and seeing your works and flourishing. So I want to know, what would you tell your 5-year-old self about following your dreams?
Oh yeah, I love that question. Actually, do it. Do it. All caps, like do it. Like I don't care what anybody got to say. I really don't care. Do it. Do it loud. Do it proud. Do it. Only you can make your
Yes,
dreams come true. Make it
I
happen.
concur.
Yeah, if you gotta be the first, so be it. Somebody gotta be the first. So go do it. Do it. Do it.
I
Do it.
agree. And there's a saying that you always tell me about, not verbatimly, I could think of it really how you say it, but there's all these breads in the store,
Oh,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Just because you see someone doing the same thing does not mean you can't do it,
Yeah.
right? You go in the bread aisle, the whole aisle is full of bread,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that I always role play in my head on anything that I'm like, just do it. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah, do it, man. I mean,
Just do
honestly,
it.
ain't nobody's bread like your bread, Jay. You know that. You know that. That's why I said anybody eat that slice, there's a winner. Okay, that's addiction right there. So I don't eat it sparingly when I see it, but you got to know when it ain't nothing like yours. So for
Just
real,
do it. Just do it. Amen. Thank you.
yeah.
So now this segment of the podcast is called The One. So it's a lightning round of questions with the word one in it, and you have 1 minute to answer them. Are you ready?
More like 1 hour. Yeah, I got a choice. Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. Let's do
Okay,
it.
let's go. 1 minute. All right. What is the one common misconception that you have encountered that people have said to you about midwives or midwifery?
Okay, as in the past when I was younger, or when I first started, I heard, do we still exist? Like this profession still exists? Currently, thankfully, I never heard anybody really saying that to me now, but do we
Right.
still exist would be one of those misconception. And recently, those not recently, sometimes I hear like, is the difference, what's the difference between a midwife or a doula? Which I'm like, what? You know, because only because the doula, the name has been more mainstream now, but midwives is the oldest profession in the Bible. So, so I'll be shocked when I hear that. Like,
But you know what's so funny? Only I in America is there's the confusion of
mm,
midwife. But when you go to the UK, Canada, Caribbean, Africa, midwife is like the top.
top
Everybody
tier.
knows. Like
Yeah, I'm
top
like,
there.
what? You
You
know what I'm saying?
understand?
I don't
You
know what's going on.
understand?
America, America. I'm like,
So what is one tip you have learned about entrepreneurship?
oh, that's a great question. The tax code. Learn the tax code, learn about them deductions. I'm serious. Like if you're a student midwife, I even say that like learn about how to acquire LLC, get your clothes written off, your textbooks written off, your technology written off, your gas mileage, your shoes, tax code. Learn business, baby. You're in business. Go learn about your business for sure. I'm not
Oh,
well. Disclaimer: I'm not a business coach or a financial advisor, but I would say definitely check in, learn about the business codes and deductions. Okay, be about that business. Okay.
awesome. What is one tip you have learned about self-care as a midwife?
Oh yes, I love it. Say no. Learn to say no, and it's okay.
Woo!
And be okay with it. Learn to say no and be okay with your no. Okay. I was saying in my mind because I heard that before that in what else I say? Oh, in somebody's story, you're the villain. All right. So be okay with being the villain somebody. I like Scarface. He's like, you need people like me so that you can look good. All right. So if that's the case, so be it. I will be that. I'll be that. So learn to say no with pleasure, right? So learn to say no.
Yes,
It's for your
yes.
good.
And
Yeah.
one thing I say, no is a sentence. So
Yes,
no,
yeah. No, and keep
period.
it moving too. No, and
Yes,
keep it moving. Yeah.
love it. What is one tip you have learned about relationships since becoming a midwife?
Oh, get to know yourself authentically. Like get to know your real soul authentically so that you can create healthy boundaries so that you can thrive in. I think in midwifery, that's really, really important. Like getting to know who you are and getting to know what is acceptable for your life and don't let anybody dictate that for you. Okay. So if you want to charge up, charge up. If you want to be like, I only see one birth a month, so be it. That's me. I'm doing me. All right. So know yourself authentically so you can live an authentic life. So yeah.
Okay. What is one revolutionary thing you would love to see us do as people to move us forward in having healthier birth outcomes?
I would say, and this is real honest talk, learn about your body, learn about the anatomy and physiology of our body, learn about the power of who you are as a being in this universe. And I'm a firm believer in God's word that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. We are marvelous. Okay. And so I think it's important to know that you are God's and you're created in God's image. So you can do anything that God called you to do, and that's including birth. All right. So birth your babies and do what you got to do, ladies. All right. Do you. Do you.
As you say, birth is what we do, right?
That's right. Go do it. Go do it. You created to do this. Do this. Yeah.
Yes. What is one word you would like to leave with our listener that carried you through your hardest times in life?
Well, one of them is called Make It Count. So my daughter, she was about 9 years old. I had a notebook, paperboard, the wooden part or the cardboard part in the back of it, and she wrote on it "Make It Count," and she stuck it in my bathroom. And she went away for the summer to my dad in New York, and I remember reading it in my mind like I was super tired. I just came from clinic all day. I had to log in the work, and I remember her words coming back to me on that paper like "Make it count." And so I thank her for those words because I had to make it count for myself, for her, for my family, all the sacrifice we made. And so everything I do every day is because I'm doing it to make it count. So that's the word. Make it count, everyone. Make it count.
Love it, love it. So, my final question is name one way your listeners can help support you to further your cause in this work, like business support, any fundraisers, charities, or any organizations.
Okay, so well for me, of course, because it's my business, like Miss Tab say, because it's my business. Well, I would say for those that are serious, and they know their gut, you know, God is speaking to you. You wrestle. Well, hopefully, don't wrestle with God because you will not win. Okay, guaranteed. If God is calling you to do this work for real, you ain't gonna win. So if he's calling you, he's like, hey, hello, then listen up and take ear. So if God is calling you to do the work in regards to saying being a birth assistant or a midwife's assistant, or you feel, even if you feel inspired to be a community midwife, I would say tap into that inclination or tap into that voice. And for those that are interested in being a midwife assistant, I would say, and you meet the criteria, of course, of being a Black woman, 18 years or older. I would say check us out at Black Sisters Birth Academy. Our website is blacksistersbirth.com. All our social media platforms on IG, Facebook, on YouTube is Black Sisters Birth Academy. So, like I said, if you are interested in not just interested, because I'm not really interested in that you're interested, but if you're called, because I really am, I'm gonna keep it real. The wiser I get in my years, and I've got some years on me now. I'm really not interested in you're interested, but I love and I can connect to those that are truly called to do this work because I know that you're in it for the right reasons. You're when the obstacle when the going gets tough, you get going. You know what I mean? You don't get going like running out. You get going and doing what you're called to do. And also for those to let you know that it's okay to pivot. Meaning like for those that feel the call and then once they experience, they realize it's not actually necessarily the route that they're looking to go, and that's fine too. And I feel like sometimes people feel shamed or embarrassed about that. And I'm like, no shade, no, who cares? Who cares what anybody has to say? I always say to people when you feel that gut feeling to do something and you do it, this I love Jay-Z's quote or phrase or a rap. He says, I came, I saw, I conquered. You came, you saw, and you conquered it, and you realized that after doing the whatever necessary steps for your own analysis, that it wasn't the right walk for you, and then you pivot, and it's okay. So it's all good. Do you?
Awesome, awesome. So that is all I have on being in this place of being a guest speaker and interviewing you.
Yeah.
Lovely responses, and I hope our audience take heed to the jewels that you drop. Very powerful and amazing, and definitely check you out and what you're doing. And please share, because this is a beautiful idea inside Birth Podcast. And yeah.
Yeah, thank
You.
you, Jay. Now I really appreciate. So you gotta have, well, like Rasta say, appreciate love. I really appreciate love this young lady. Okay, she's been in my life, and birth work has, well, God, of course, God called us together, but it's due to our alignment with the passion that we have for birth work and mothers and babies and serving in its capacity, and that is that's the core that really binds us together. Is that commonality, that strong love that we have for one another. Is because it's like when you know you're called to do something, you're gonna do it with your whole heart. And she's somebody who does something with her whole heart. Like she don't play no games. There's no crumbs left over when she's done with you. She'll snatch you
Thank
all
you.
up, all the edges. And so for
You
that,
ground me. You ground me though.
yeah,
That's why it's Linda Lisa vibes, right?
yeah,
The
yeah.
yin and the yang.
You
Yes. Yes.
need that, and it's so important. So that's another reason why this platform was created, for us to have like find those commonalities, so find a place where you can resonate, or find a place where you can rest and call home, where somebody can actually understand what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And understand the
Yes.
vibration of the frequency that you're what timetable and what time you're on. So I really appreciate your friendship. I appreciate you being our special guest host here at Inside Birth Podcast. And so, like I said, once again, I want to thank Kiwasi, or my friend Jay, once again, for her love, her support, as always, for being our my host today for this episode. And for our listeners, you can catch us on Spotify and YouTube the second Tuesday of every month at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, for our next episode with another community midwife. And if you enjoy the educational content that we provide here at Black Sisters Birth Academy and on our podcast here at Inside Birth, then give us a like, share, subscribe, or send it through the cipher. And for those that got notification bells, press the notification bells to be informed when our next episode arrives. And like I tell everyone, that's my academy's motto at Black Sisters Birth Academy, is to remember birth is what we do. And until next time, everyone, blessings and goodbye.
Bye, everyone.